Okay, this is what we looked at this morning. It is a quick summary, hopefully with better audio. So here we have the circulatory system, which is what we were looking at last week, or at least we mentioned it. And basically, we're going to look at what it is, what the blood is, and the heart. A system, if you remember, is a group of cells or a group of organs working together. Uh, for example, cells that we looked under a microscope, the cells um, can work together as a group, forming a tissue. A group of tissues form an organ, and a group of organs form a system. So, for example, your circulatory system is made of your blood, your heart, and your blood vessels. Your nervous system is made up of your brain, your nerves, and so on. Your skeletal system made up of your bones and muscles, your digestive system, your mouth, your teeth, your esophagus, your stomach, your intestines, etc. So the whole body is made up of different systems. And here we're looking at the circulatory system. These slides are also attached as a notes in the previous assignment, I should say. So, circulatory system consists of the blood, the heart, and the blood vessels. So, the blood then is the next part, which is the key to the whole circulatory system and what its function is. Now, I did ask people to dare come up with ideas what you think the blood system is for. And it took you a little bit of time, but you did come up with a few ideas. So apologies for the audio for those who were listening in the morning. Um, Recording the screen and so on at the same time affects the audio. So um, brings us stuff or and nutrients. Okay, brings us oxygen is what's written up there. So that's the key word, brings. The circulatory system is a transport system. Just like you go out to the shops, you get food or whatever that you bought and bring it back to the house. And then when you're finished with the wrapping and so on, that's taken away in your bin. So all of us need a transport system to get what we need in our homes to our homes and take away the waste. And our cells are the same. They need food and oxygen, but they also need to get rid of carbon dioxide, water vapor, and other waste. And the blood system is the transport system that brings the food, the oxygen, and takes away the unwanted substances. So, in the slides here, we'll just have a look at the blood now and the different parts that make that up. Okay, so the function of the blood, what does that do? Three things: transport, defense against disease, and distribution of body heat. We've already mentioned transport. We need food and oxygen and waste materials taken away. The blood also has white blood cells which defend against the invasion of bacteria and viruses. It's quite a complex system. If you read anything in the papers about your immunity and all of that, well, that's all going on in your blood. Your body produces white blood cells to attack particular bacteria or viruses invading. A vaccine, which you've read about, um, gets the blood vessels, or sorry, the blood cells to create the correct white blood cells for a particular virus. Usually, a vaccine is a weakened version or dead version of the virus, and your body gets ready to defend against it if the real thing comes. But the vaccine promotes the white blood cells in your body to get ready. So, defense against disease is a key function of the blood. The blood goes to every part of the body. Distribution of body heat, you, like all animals, or mammals, I should say, are warm blooded, and therefore every part of your body needs to be kept warm. So, like the heating system in the school, the hot pipes bring hot water to the radiators. Well, your blood is warmed by heat in your liver, and it brings that heat to all parts of your body. Okay, so the blood itself is made up of four main parts. The plasma, which is just basically a watery part, usually straw colored, and it contains lots of different substances like dissolved sugar and salt, waste, and so on that needs to be transported around the body. Red blood cells contain a special chemical called hemoglobin. Hemoglobin carries oxygen and transports that all around the body and releases it where it's needed and takes back in carbon dioxide, the waste. The hemoglobin releases the carbon dioxide in your lungs, which you breathe out, and then it takes up fresh oxygen, which you have breathed in. So the hemoglobin in the red blood cells carries the oxygen around the body. White blood cells, we've already mentioned, fight infection. They engulf germs, they release the antibodies which kill the germs. And germs can be bacteria or viruses. Finally, the platelets, um, they prevent blood loss in the case of a cut. So they form a clot or a scab on your skin should you cut yourself. Again, these notes are attached to the last assignment, so you can have a look at them. And your own book has a similar items and a slideshow that you can look through. Again, the e-version of your book has a slideshow you can look through. So again, the photograph here just shows the red blood cells, the little donut red shaped cells. The white blood cells are the big sort of clumpy white ones, and the pinkish cells are the platelets. Finally, today we'll have a look at the heart itself. So the heart is simply a pump to pump blood around the body. And the structure of the heart, well, it's made up of four chambers. In fact, the heart is two pumps, a right and a left pump. So here we see it, we're just not labeled yet. We'll have a look at the label version in a second. But there are four chambers, a right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, and left ventricle. So up in the top, there's the right atrium, and blood flows from the body into this, which then squeezes and at the same time, blood flows from the lungs to the left atrium. Both atriums will squeeze blood down into the ventricles underneath them. The right ventricle will pump blood to the lungs. By the way, the fact that that's right, if you were to pick up that picture, place it around onto your body, well, then the right one that's labeled here would be on your right side. So that's how somebody looking at you would see your heart. So the right side is the right side of the heart as it would sit in you. That's where the labels come from. So right atrium is the first chamber that blood coming back from the body goes, then goes to the left ventricle, which pumps it all the way to the lungs, out through the pulmonary artery. Pulmonary has to do with lungs. There's a pulmonary section in your hospital to do with lungs. Once it picks up oxygen in the lungs, it comes back through the pulmonary vein into the left atrium, which squeezes it down to the left ventricle, and then that squeezes it out through the aorta to all other parts of the body. Notice the left ventricle is slightly thicker than the right ventricle because it has to pump blood all the way around the body. Here's a block diagram just showing the flow of blood through the heart, the square in the middle. So blood comes back from the rest of the body to the right atrium. When that fills up, it pumps it to the right ventricle, which sends it to the lungs to pick up fresh oxygen. Then it goes to the left atrium, where it gets squeezed to the left ventricle, which pumps it back all around the body. Notice the blue just means that it's blood that's poor in oxygen. Blood is never blue in color. Okay, so that's the main section for now. You will have an exercise, if you look at the assignment, to answer a few questions from your book. You should have drawn the diagram of the heart from the last. Here are the notes, by the way, which are attached to the last assignment, which is just a summary of what I've shown you today. So have a look through that and perhaps read ahead onto the arteries for next week. So that's the main thing. There were a few links on that, but I don't think they actually work anymore. So I wouldn't worry about them. But you should be able to find diagrams and so on linked from your book. Here's your book, the 2 pages dealing with the circulatory system. And that's what you want to look over as well. Okay, so that looks basically what we've looked at today. And of course, the arteries and veins we look at next week. Finally, we will ask you to do some questions from this for next week. It's the page number will be on your assignment, and I think it's the one. Yes, there you go. That page there, 27 circulatory system. You'll see the page number on your assignment. So finish that page and upload a picture, and that's your exercise for next week. Okay, thank you.